been taken. It's time we take our power back and we rescue our people. The Vatican and the bankers are like Resident Evil. They may have had the greatest plan that was ever concocted, but Illuminati never thought that they'd ever be spotted. They're manufacturing reality all in our heads. They tell us if the earth is flat then we'll fall off the edge, but if it is a spinning ball we won't fall off it then. And gravity is our imaginary magic friend. Why is water always flat when unmanipulated? Why are pictures of the earth computer generated? Why you lying to us, man? That's something that we want to know. After that you're gonna have to pack up all your stuff and go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Flat Earth Podcast. I'm Curious Jay, alongside me, Dave from deep inside the rabbit hole. Once again, time for another hour or so of Flat Earth audio. Dave, what's happening, my man?
Hey, man, it's doing great today. An hour or so, we're going to have to start saying an hour and a half or 2 hours.
You're right. We, but that's a good thing as far as what I can tell from the audience feedback that we've gotten, because, a lot of them were asking for longer right when we started this thing off.
All right.
So, yeah, let's talk first off on a few videos that happened in the last week or so. You put out an incredible video, just a couple minutes long. What was the total running time on that NASA video?
2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's a powerful 2 minutes and 20 seconds and great music, might I add.
Yeah, so I had found this clip of these. I thought it was just kids doing it on their own, but I found out later that it was a television show where they're on the International Fake Station and he's flipping a pen around in the air, and it looked as good as what we see on the space station. So I said, hey, I'm going to make a great video out of this. The clip was literally 6 seconds long. I was going to make a 6-second video, and an hour later, I'm up to 2 minutes and 20 seconds. But all of the clips just kind of fell into place for me. And then I put it together. I was like, hey, this is pretty good. I need to find some music. I searched the web for some new music, and literally the first page that came up that had 1 million songs on it, the first song I clicked was that music, and it fit perfectly.
Yeah, it worked really, really well, showing the glitches in their in their green screen technology that happens every now and then. And then the kicker was the guy with the pen, like you said. And, even if it did come from, Big Bang Theory or one of those TV shows, the point being is he wasn't in space, and he's flipping the pen around just like they do to us all the time with their little objects in space. And I thought it really hit home. If you guys haven't seen it, check out the DITRH channel for that.
It's that clip, the fact that I didn't realize it was from a television show is the only thing that the trolls can grab onto. So they're really hammering me on it, but that's all right. It just shows, hey, they did it in a Hollywood studio. So what?
Right.
So what? Is it in space?
Yeah.
So
yeah, the exact. And I read one commenter who said, well, just because this guy did it, or just because they did it with a green screen, doesn't mean the ISS. No, of course it doesn't. We're not saying that, but hello, we're trying to show that what they do and what they show us, all their little tricks with their bubbles and their floating tennis rackets and guitars and everything else, it can be done without being in space. And in fact, if you ask us, it certainly is.
I did upload it directly to Facebook, so it automatically plays when somebody sees it. And that is getting thousands of views and hundreds of shares. So that one's really making a difference. I even had some friends in my personal life make comments today. They're like, yeah, NASA is faking stuff, and they've never commented on Flat Earth before. So I encourage anybody that likes that video or another short one to start posting these on your personal social media, your Facebook page, because people that have no idea that Flat Earth is a thing will see something like this. And you're not saying anything bad. You're just saying, hey, something's screwy going on here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And on another note, both of us came up with a couple of ideas to break the Flat Earth ice to people, or to get closet flat earthers out of the closet. You go first, because I thought yours was incredible. The idea, the email thread you sent to me the other day.
Oh, yeah. Whenever I order something online, whether it's eBay or Amazon or whatever, most of the time you get a communication back either from customer service or, from the company. And whenever I have any kind of correspondence with with something like that, somebody that I'll probably never talk to again, I end my sentence, at the end of my email, I put research flat earth, and I put a link to our podcast.
Yeah,
and that's it. You just send it back and it makes a difference.
Yeah, when you forwarded me the thread and I was reading through it and I was like, it was obvious you were getting technical support with something. And I'm like, what is he sending me? Was this a mistake? And then it hit me. I saw the last one in the thread, research flat earth, and I was like, wow, that's genius. Great idea.
Yeah, it plants a seed that they can't get out of their head if you give them a good link and they happen to click on it and watch it. Or listen to it, as I was suggesting with our podcast. There's no turning back.
Yeah, and like you say, it's perfect because it's a total stranger on the other end of that email, so you don't have to worry about being embarrassed or scared to say something about it or whatever. That's just perfect. Great way to break that ice and to spread the word.
I also, when I was having problems when I had my Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole website, I was having problems with it being hacked, and we were on with GoDaddy customer service, and the person really has to dig into the site. And every time we would do that, the person would start asking questions. What's this flat Earth stuff? And we would get into it, and other people around them would gather around, and we'd hear them talking, and they'd start asking questions. And one time when we were having tons of problems, we had to call back, for several days in a row. One day we called back and we could hear the people. I heard the people in the background like, oh, it's the flat earth guys. It's Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole guys. And we blew up the whole office. So they all know. And we encourage them, like, listen, when we're done with this, thanks for fixing the site. When you go home tonight and you have some time, why don't you peruse a little bit and watch some of the videos? Very interesting. And we know that we're waking up tons of people that way.
Yeah, so that's a great idea for everybody out there listening. For those of you who want to figure out how to spread the word without him, or if you're too embarrassed to say something, that is a perfect way to do it. Send them a link, and again, it's total strangers, so there's no risk. And then, I just received in the mail today the 2 hats that I ordered. I'm going to send you one of them this week. It's a black hat, and it just simply says on it, 8 inches times miles squared. It's one of those deals to basically draw the flat earther, the secret flat earthers out there, to draw them out of the closet a little bit, to get them to come to you and say, hey, what's up with that? So I think, because the only people that are going to know what that means are people who have looked into this.
Well, you can have 2 things. One, it'll signal to another flat earther, they'll see it and know what it is. But it's also going to get people that have no idea what it is to give you a strange look and ask you a question. So that's why I think the hat should come with either Google Glass or a little camera in it, so you can capture these interactions that you're going to have with these bewildered people. Like, why are you wearing that formula?
Yeah, what's up with that? Hat? Yeah, what's up with the formula? Yeah, and then I guess I'll have to have the phone ready to record the conversations that are sure to follow when they see the hat. I can't wait to wear that around town. But it just goes to show you. I was looking through the statistics for the podcast the other day. And there's a new system on SoundCloud that allows you to, look at the different cities and countries that are downloading your podcast. And take, for example, the city of Los Angeles, for instance. There are hundreds of people that are downloading this podcast every single episode, right? And yet, for the meetup that they had recently in this area, I was looking on one of the channels the other day, and I think the attendance was like 20 to 30 or something like that, which is a great crowd for a meetup. But it just goes to show you that the people who are out of the closet are still a very small portion of the people who are in the closet.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to flat Earth.
Yeah, for sure. There's always, you only get a small sampling of people that will say something.
Tip of the iceberg.
There we have getting to the reviews on iTunes. Ignoring the trolls who have organized a barrage. Giving us single stars. We know that there's a lot of people that love this show, but very few of them leave a rating.
Yep.
Because people like to be quiet. When I listen to Richie from Boston, he makes the same comment. He goes, 1,500 people watching and only 200 likes.
You're right.
People are just in the closet, quietly watching.
Yep, that's right. And speaking of the reviews, it's hilarious because still to this day, the people who have been leaving reviews, we want to say thank you, first of all. But second of all, I want to say that it's hilarious because you can literally chart every time a new positive review is added. the trolls come along and add a negative review. And if you actually read them, it is so obvious they don't even listen to the show.
Yep.
People quoting us with things we've never even said.
Amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. I spoke with Robbie from Celebrate Truth today, who's helping to orchestrate the Flat Earth Conference, and he wanted me to let everyone know that currently, right now, you can, as the tickets are sold out, you can get the live stream pass for the early bird special. I think it's $17 to be able to stream both days of that event, and then after October 15th, that'll go up to $27. So if you can't make it to the Flat Earth Conference and you want to stream the event, which I highly recommend, now's the time to do it. Order it before October 15th.
Fantastic. And by doing that, you're really supporting the Flat Earth movement, if that's a thing. You're helping people spread the word. The conference is about spreading the word and getting people to come out of the closet. And by supporting it, one, you're getting content that you want, cheaper than going to a movie, and you're helping the word get out, because it's not free to do all the stuff, even though you and I are doing it for free.
Yep, exactly. Which reminds me of one of the reviews that said that we were money-grabbing charlatans.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Hey, another video I want to talk about. Jaron from Jaronism put out a video explaining this laser experiment he's going to do. Did you see it?
Yes. He actually explained it to me a couple months ago, and then I watched the video, and does a great job of explaining it. And I am really, really looking forward to that experiment.
Yeah, that's going to be, he's using, lasers and a theodolite, which is, the big argument. You use a theodolite, that proves that the Earth is curved, says every surveyor. But he is going to either prove the Earth is curved or prove that theodolites don't tell you what you're really seeing. Yes,
correct. Also, in the last week or so, Mr. Thrive and Survive has been dropping some really good videos as well.
What I did not see. Which ones?
Just ever since the eclipse, he's had several on about the eclipse. He's had a really good one on submarines and how submarines and the way that they float using buoyancy and that sort of thing, kind of like the opposite of an airplane, proves flat Earth, that they are not cruising along in the ocean on a spherical ball. Really good video, about 20 minutes long, by Mr. Thrive and Survive.
Okay, I will be linking all of these videos. We're going to have lots of links in this week's Facebook post, but they'll be there.
Yeah, that'll definitely be worth it. And I believe we have a speak pipe from someone named Chucky that we can listen to.
Fire it up.
Hey guys, I'm actually a flat earther already, and I came across your channel just today, and I've heard a couple of your podcasts already, and I don't have any questions, but I do have something I do want to contribute. I took 2 photos on 2 different occasions, and the moon was very, very clearly in front of the clouds. And I've also been watching the stars. I mean, how do people not know this? How do people not see this? I've been watching the stars over my head, the same constellations, for nearly 7 months without any variance. How is that possible on a globe model? I find it hard to understand how people cannot see this. It's so in our faces. It's so obvious. And I'm more than willing to share that photo that I said. I have the picture of the moon. It's clearly in front of clouds. I have a picture and a video, actually. 2 separate occasions, 2 separate times. I just want to say, love your guys' work. Keep up the work and spread the truth. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chucky, for that message via SpeakPipe. So the moon in front of the clouds. We've seen lots of photos and videos which appear to show the moon or the sun in front of the clouds. Dave, how do you respond to that?
That's such a heated topic of discussion. With the sun, the sun's so bright that it'll look like it's in front of a tree if you look at it right, with branches going in front of it. But I'm not disagreeing with him, because I really believe that as I've said many times on the show, that the sun and the moon that we are seeing are not physical, and whatever is projecting them, for lack of a better word, is placing them in a position relative to where we are, which is rather close. Can that render in front of the clouds? I'm thinking it could. Some people get very upset at that. I know that Jaron has some serious issues with that, but that's okay. I don't mind disagreeing with Jaron.
Yeah, I know. And it's because I guess with the sun, I can probably accept the excuse of the brightness of the sun is drowning out certain sections of the cloud, which make it appear to be in front. With the moon, it's a little tougher to accept that explanation to me. And it makes me, again, lean towards, a projection of some sort or something that is maybe just local to the observer.
So here's a thought I had today. As you're looking at things, like a mountain or whatever, farther and farther into the distance, it gets harder and harder to see because you're looking through all that atmosphere and it drowns it out. It basically becomes sky and you can no longer see. But then when you turn something like the sun can power through it a lot farther because it's so bright. But when it comes to the moon, especially when it's a crescent moon, and you can see the rest of the moon when it's on the horizon or when it's first, coming into view. That should be on a flat Earth or a ball Earth, very far away, looking through the most atmosphere, but you can still see it just as clear as it is when it's overhead, which is, exponentially less atmosphere that you're looking through because you're looking straight up into thinner and thinner, clearer and clearer air as opposed to across it. And the only way that, that adds weight towards my theory that when we're seeing this projected, sun relative to our position, that it's not far away at all. That when it comes into our view, it's not that much farther than it is when it's over our heads.
Right. It's projected closer.
It comes in relative to our view. Much closer than we think, because if it was 3,000 miles away or 1,000 miles away, how would we see it through 1,000 miles of atmosphere? It would be dulled out, right?
Yeah, no, it totally would. But it's alive and well. I mean, it is. Last night, for instance, it was a full moon, and it was just so incredibly detailed. It was unbelievable. And then when you factor in, just like you just said, how much atmosphere and haze should be between us and that, something just does not add up.
And then this brings into, the big argument. There's people like, I believe you're on the same camp, that the sun does a circle around us, going around a center point that we call the North Star, the North Pole. Other people believe that it goes straight, on the Pac-Man map or whatever you want to call it, because when they do all kinds of time-lapse measurements, it sure looks straight, although sometimes it looks curved. And I've measured some of those time lapses and I see that there is a curve, but that curve could be due to perspective. But if we're seeing it rendered like I am starting to think it is, we're only seeing a short distance across that map. So that circle, it's such a short distance that we actually see the moon that you couldn't tell if it was curved. It would essentially be straight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. Reminds me of one of the callers on a recent Mark Sargent show brought up a quote, and when he said it, I was like, I need to Google that and check it out, by Erwin Shapiro. He's an astrophysicist with the Harvard Smithsonian Center, and the quote that he had was, "The best possible explanation for the moon is observational error. The moon doesn't exist." He goes on to say the moon is bigger than it should be, apparently older than it should be, and much lighter in mass than it should be. It occupies an unlikely orbit and is so extraordinary that all existing explanations for its presence are fraught with difficulties, and none of them could be considered remotely watertight. Pretty profound quote from somebody on the mainstream science side of things.
Absolutely.
All right, so when we come back from the break, we've got a very special guest joining us. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned in just a second.
Following announcement has been paid for by
The Flat Earth Podcast.
You want to leave a digital voicemail for us? Head over to theflatearthpodcast.com and click on the blue link that reads, "Got a question? Send us a message."
You can do it from your iPhone or from your computer. First time you do it on your cellular phone, you'll have to download a little app. But after that, you can leave us all kinds of messages. If you want to be anonymous, you can make up a name, make up an email address. We don't care. We just want to hear what you have to say.
We'll do our best to play or answer these questions and comments on future episodes right here on the Flat Earth Podcast. Download the SpeakPipe app and and check us out at theflatearthpodcast.com.
The Flat Earth Podcast.
If you're watching this audio on YouTube right now and you're not familiar with the world of podcasting, there's a far better way to listen to the Flat Earth Podcast each and every week.
Think of it like your TiVo or your DVR is to your television. You subscribe to whatever show that you like. Whenever a new episode comes out, it records it, downloads it, and notifies you that there's a new episode for easy listening anywhere. Another great feature on most podcast players is you could speed up if you want to hear stuff even faster, or more importantly, it has a jump back and jump forward 30 seconds so you could skip annoying announcements like this.
We're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and so many more. If we're not on your favorite podcast app, send us a message and let us know to make sure we will be.
The Flat Earth Podcast.
Today, we've got a very special guest with us on the show. Someone that we've been trying to get lined up since we started this program, but we had problems making our schedules all work out. Well, it's finally happening. The planets are all lined up, so to speak. Wink, wink. And we have had a lot of requests via email, SpeakPipe, for us to kind of back up and cover some of the basics on Flat Earth for people who are just joining the podcast who haven't done 16 to 24 months of research. You know, what is this all about type thing? And I think this is a great show to have our guest on because he's produced one of the videos that we always recommend for first timers, and that is the 21 questions for Flat Earth. Isn't that right, Dave?
This was supposed to be our second and possibly double show, third podcast. Numbers 2 and 3 were supposed to be ODD reality, going over the 21 questions.
That's right. So without further ado, let's get him on here. ODD, are you there with us?
Yes, I am. How's it going?
Man, it's going awesome. Great to have you, bro.
Excellent. Thanks, man. I've been looking forward to this as well.
And also, don't forget that at the conference, we have our billboard, which is featuring ODD's 21 questions, as a first place to go look if you're hearing about Flat Earth for the first time.
Yeah. Did you know you struck gold when you came up with the idea for that video?
Yeah. The other thing about that video that I like is that it's a community thing. I gave the idea out on all my social media accounts and I asked people to contribute. I already had the questions. So I wrote all the questions down and I said, send me your answers to these questions. And then I combined everybody's answers. Took what was good. Some of the things were not so good. So I left that out, of course, but, a combined mixture of a lot of people's different views did really add up to a good video.
Man, I tell you what, it covers like everything that you could hope for. You know what I mean? It really does. It is so in line with exactly what so many people ask right away.
When I'm talking with people that are new to Flat Earth, you have your closed-minded globers that just refuse to hear anything. But then when somebody is like, okay, wait a minute, this is crazy, but where's the edge? And they start going through the questions. And of course, we don't have time to to go through that with everybody. So I was like, watch this video and get back to me. That video single-handedly for me has converted more people than every other technique combined.
That's excellent. That's what I was hoping for. I really wanted to get the basics down into one, really nice video, and I didn't care how long it was, but it turned out to be about 2 minutes per question. So we got 21 questions and it's 42 minutes long. Came out pretty good.
So let's go through the questions one by one, and we'll touch on them. I forget which one it is, but there's a couple in there that we might have some new information that might need to be adjusted. So when we get to them, let's see how that goes. How's that sound, ODD?
Absolutely, that sounds great.
So we'll just start the number one question, and I love it when somebody asks because they're thinking. Because if you don't ask these questions, you're not thinking, right? So the first question is, where is the edge? And I blame the Flat Earth Society for that because everyone was shown that ridiculous picture of the Earth with water flowing over the edge, and that has made people not look into Flat Earth.
Yes, that's one of the biggest things for me to try to convey to people as well. It's, what I notice people doing most often is they take the globe and they replace it. So all the same circumstances still apply. It's still in space. It's still floating around. Stuff is still orbiting. It's all they do is take the globe, turn it into a disc. And so there has to be an edge in that model. And what I try to let people know is, there may not be an edge. We're motionless. We don't know where we're sitting. But as far as an edge goes, maybe the barriers of where we're at in our pond, yeah, we could speculate that Antarctica is the circle rim around us, and we don't know what's beyond that.
Yeah, that's really a good point. When people think of the flat disk, in space, everything else is the same. All the other planets are giant rocks. All the suns and stars are giant suns. And how can we be flat? That's where people go when they're really not thinking. And the truth is that whether you believe in the infinite plane, semi-infinite plane, maybe slightly long plane, or the enclosed world, it is a flat, expansive plane. Is that an easy way to say it?
Sure.
I think that question number one, where's the edge? I really think that it's just another one of those that shows how strong indoctrination is, because I think we'll all remember, no matter what school we went to, at some point in school, learning that the ancients thought the earth was flat and that they would fall off the edge. We were fed this notion of the edge at such a young age. And it proves it when you talk to people about this idea for the first time. And the first thing they ask is, where's the edge?
Yeah. How come no one's taking a picture of the edge?
Right.
Well, I hate it when I hear that, because there's so many pictures of the shoreline of Antarctica. That is the edge, as far as the edge of the world that we're allowed to explore.
Sure, that's the edge of the edge. If there's an edge beyond that, that's only if there's an edge beyond that.
All right. Let's go to number 2, Dave.
Where does the sun go if the earth is flat? Now, number 1 is a great question, easy to answer, lots of ways to explain it. Number 2 jumps to one of the toughest ones, I think. But there are many answers for it.
Sure. To me, it's one of the most important, because it's one that I struggled with for months, 6 months maybe. And that's one thing that kept me on the ball for a while there. So I really wanted to tackle that one. I thought that was important.
How do you explain it? What's your elevator pitch for where does the sun go on a flat earth?
Because the sun is smaller and much more closer, it's able to leave our point of view due to perspective as it travels and circuits the flat plane, which is also much more expansive, because you're taking a ball and then you're flattening it out. So you have more surface area. So the sun being smaller and closer, it's able to come into your view and leave your view, although it's the same height the entire time.
Yeah. It's one of those that definitely sometimes requires a visual, like whether you can give it to them or talk them through it. Picture the petri dish, or picture the a pizza, and the crust is your quote unquote edge, and then go up a little bit off the pizza. You almost have to create the visual when explaining it, I find.
There's a lot of factors, perspective, anything that's a quarter of an inch above your eye level will eclipse the sun over distance. And people don't realize how perspective works. And I've done a lot of videos on it, and I'm still trying to understand what the sun is. I've recently come to the opinion, in my humble opinion, that the sun that we see is not physical. It is a projection, for lack of a better word. But if you just think of one of my favorite videos that really has helped a lot of people and myself, is if you think of a white fluffy cloud above your head, it's directly above your head, and you got to tilt your head back up to see it. But when it's 20 miles away, you're looking straight across the flat land or the flat water to see that same cloud at the same height. And that line from your eyes to that cloud, from your point of view, looks parallel to the ground.
Right.
But if somebody is standing under that cloud and can see the line from my eyes to that cloud, that looks like a very steep line going from 10,000 feet down to my eyes.
Yep.
Which one is real?
Yeah. I use the hotel hallway. I find myself going to that a lot when I'm explaining to someone, step out of your hotel room, look down the hallway, and picture it going forever, right? And every 6 feet, there's a light in the hall on the ceiling. And what do you think that row of lights is going to do? It's going to get lower and lower and lower as it goes. But is it setting? Is it going down? No. It's just the way your eyes work. I use that one all the time.
Yep, that's perfect. That the first time I saw that was actually in Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole video. I thought that was clever.
There you go. I'm working on another sunset video. I've been using my drone to get some great sunset footage. So we just need some clear nights. And each time I film it, I see something else. It's just the amount of information coming out now. When you look at things with new eyes, you can see new things.
Sure. I mean, look at the work that was done. I think I mentioned it on the last show. Look at the work that was done by everyone on the solar eclipse stuff. I mean, it's just coming out every day. It's unbelievable.
Indeed.
All right, let's go to question number 3. What's underneath the flat Earth?
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
When somebody comes to me, I go, it's a turtle standing on an elephant. That's it, and I walk away.
Duh, yeah.
Duh, what's wrong with you? Don't you read?
Again, this question stems from people replacing the globe with a flat disk, so there has to be an underneath, like the other side of a quarter. But yeah, in all reality, we don't know. There may not be an underneath, based on the fact that whatever we're sitting on, whatever's keeping us motionless,
Yeah.
wherever we're at, I mean, it could be infinitely going downward as well. Like, it's just funny. People expect you to know this, and most of us will readily admit we don't know. How are we to know what's underneath?
I always use the example that the deepest hole ever dug was in Russia, and it's about 8 miles deep, and they can't get any deeper no matter what they do.
Right.
Yeah, when it comes to like the earth sciences, like I just, early on in my research with this stuff, and this is a perfect example, I just found it so much easier to, it's so much more appealing to me when a side of the argument just says, I don't know. Whereas mainstream science just can't say that to anything. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like they just have to have an answer, even if it's one they just made up with no evidence of, like something like a penumbra, no proof of that, but they just pull it out of their ass rather than say, I don't know. It's like I would almost have more trust or more respect for them if they simply said, we don't know.
That's true. And it's because of that flat earth proponents are expected to have all the answers for the questions.
All the answers. That's right.
Coming from the globe earth proponents. Like if we don't have an answer, then the earth's not flat, so.
Yeah.
The reason we can't dig down deeper is because the earth is a pizza. When you get through the pizza, you hit the metal tray and we just can't get through it.
Yeah, that's right. And one thing that I think it's important when someone asks me that question about what's underneath, and I'd say, I don't know. We don't know. I think it's important to really quickly let the person know that neither does science as far as the globe goes. We've been told they know. We've been given that diagram in the textbooks with the core and the mantle and the crust, but no one knows that. That's never been known. No one's been down there.
That story is just ridiculous because we're told there's a molten metal core that's magnetic, and no one can show that there's anything can be magnetic when it's molten.
Yeah. Like I pointed out a few weeks back, iron loses its its magnetic properties at a certain temperature that is way lower than the supposed temperature of the molten core of the Earth. So yeah, it's all conjecture. It's just guesses.
Number 4, what about ships and boats disappearing over the horizon, which is always comes up as one of the first 4 that people ask. I love the order that you put them in, too, because it's pretty much I've had people ask in this exact order.
Yep.
And it's fantastic.
It really is.
No one's got all 21. It's kind of like the the basketball, the college basketball series. If somebody could guess all 21 in a row.
Yeah, right.
In the right order, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty close.
This one makes me wish I lived near the ocean so I could actually go out every day and get new footage of ships not disappearing over the horizon. But I've had to stick with what I have seen, and that's people bringing back in the ships and the boats with their ultra zoom cameras like P900s or whatever. But it would be nice to live near the ocean so I could get a lot more of this footage myself. So
I live on the Long Island Sound, which is actually a very good place to do it, because from my beach, I can look straight down the Sound out to the ocean, which is 75 miles away before you're out of the Sound. And the Sound will give us very calm conditions on certain days. But I can tell you that the temperature, the humidity level, the wind, all of those things affect what you can see. So sometimes I can see a building, and sometimes the entire building is gone. And that right there to me proves that curvature isn't the answer, because curvature would be
Consistent, right.
Consistent. It changes from day to day. And I have a new rule. It's never leave home without your P900, because I went down to the beach for an early spring walk early in the day, and it was perfectly calm. It was early in the season. There wasn't any boats out on the water, and there was zero humidity. And with my naked eye, I could see Montauk Point, which is, from me, is 65 miles away. And I was maybe 10 feet above the water.
Wow.
And I could see this land with my naked eye. And the tallest point on Montauk is 90 feet tall. It would have been a half a mile over the curvature. And I couldn't. And that was early spring. There hasn't been another day like that since.
Oh, that's a bummer, man.
Yeah. You know what's funny about the argument with the distance pictures is it makes me want to beat my head against the wall, because I find that so often, rarely do you find a globe proponent that will actually argue these photos or try to explain these videos and photos. Instead, what they do is produce one that does show obstruction. I'm not going to say curvature, but obstruction. And it's the equivalent of, like, I don't know if I've used this on the podcast before, Dave, but if I found a bird that in my backyard that flies, right, and it, lo and behold, it lands, and I look at it and it doesn't have wings. And I take this into the bird scientist, the ornithologist, and I present him with a bird that is literally flying across the room but doesn't have wings. Obviously, science would need to question the whole wings being the reason they fly thing, right? But imagine instead that the scientist said, well, that's great, but look, come here, let me show you. I've got the exact same bird. I've got one over here, and he does fly with wings. Well, great. But all you did was reaffirm your going theory. But I'm sitting here showing you a bird without wings flying. And that's how I look at this curvature argument when it comes to these photos and these videos of things in a distance. I never see science or globe proponents trying to explain why we see or why we can see these things. They just use the words like refraction or atmosphere. But whereas on the other side, the flat earth side, look at what Rob Skiba did, where he showed the experiment that can actually explain their side. It can explain why there's obstruction. So, I just find it ridiculous. I always want to beat my head against the wall when it comes to this argument, because I don't think they're doing their job. I think they're just ignoring the evidence and showing us, oh, well, here's a picture where you can see curvature / obstruction.
For those of you that don't know the Rob Skiba experiment, I will link it under this when this posts on our Facebook page. Check it out if you haven't seen it. He shows using atmospheric magnification how the bottoms of buildings disappear, and it works perfectly, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which by the way, science or the globe proponents have yet to show any type of experiment where you can see something beyond a curve. Show me. I mean, of course, they could probably show you the inverted mirage, where you see the thing getting inverted.
Yeah.
But no one can show me. I mean, that's the equivalent of being able to see around a corner. And no one can show you how you do it.
Nobody's done a really good video, for a rudimentary video, about how our eye can't see something that's less than 0.02 degrees in width. So when something gets that far away, where it's less than 0.02 degrees, it's invisible to our eye. But when you zoom in with a camera, it comes right back into view. So things that are there, our eye cannot see it. And nobody really explains that well to people that have no idea.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure does.
So wait, there's also another video, which I'm going to link, and you guys have seen this, where somebody did a time lapse over a lake across to, there was the buildings and a beach. And just during the day with the temperature changes, the buildings, were completely visible. The beach was visible. And then half the buildings were gone, back and forth. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I have.
That is the most telling video right there, that, atmospheric conditions
dictate
tell
what
you
can
how
see.
far you dictate how far you can see and how much.
I think that was Rob who did that one also.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people use it. Jaron has it. I'll find it and I will post that under this and on the Facebook page. Getting to the next question, and I actually have. I think that we shouldn't even answer it. What about all the pictures of the Earth? And I just posted a video by the Flat Earth Man, and I think we should play that as the answer.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Flat Earth Man.
Boom. Insert Flat Earth Man song here.
A friend of mine once told me to do a search online. Search for photos of Earth, he said. This shit will blow your mind. So I opened up the Google and I looked for photos of Earth. Well, a lot of photos came up. He said, click on the first. He said, that's the famous blue marble that everybody's seen. We've seen this photo 1,000 times upon our TV screen. But let me tell you something about that famous shot. It's not a photo at all, man. It was made in Photoshop. Cause there ain't no photographs of Earth. Somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons. They're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a globe. No, none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? He was goddamn right. That shit did blow my mind. Cause I thought the blue marble was a photo all this time. Well, don't you think that's strange? He said suspiciously. Now, the fact that it ain't a photo seems pretty weird to me. I mean, the most important photo that man could ever take? This huge iconic image turns out to be a fake? Well, I couldn't quite believe it, man. I was pretty shocked. I needed further proof that this photo's photoshopped. He said, look up Robert Simon. He made that cartoon ball. He's the guy you should research. He works for NASA and all. He openly admits that it's all just artistry. He said, and I quote, it's photoshopped, but it has to be. There ain't no photographs of Earth. Somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons. They're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a globe. No, none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? Yep, every photo of the Earth is artist trickery. All the photos on Google, man, are as fake can be. Download all the photos and put them side by side. Compare all the continents, they're each a different size. Compare all the colors, each globe a different shade. If all of these were photos, man, they should look the goddamn same. Where's the continuity? There's none, no, none at all. All that NASA gives us is a bunch of cartoon balls. Cause there ain't no photographs of Earth. Somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons. They're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a globe. No, none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? Now we're supposed to have this telescope, right? That's flying past the stars, taking beautiful photos of Jupiter and Mars. Well, I've got a small suggestion, NASA. Here's something you could do. Point that thing at planet Earth and take a shot or two, because there should be goddamn thousands of photos of where we live. But Hubble ain't taken one. That's suspicious, don't you think? We got all these fancy pictures of spinning galaxies, but not one goddamn photo of the Earth for us to see. Cause there ain't no photographs of Earth. Somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons. They're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a globe. No, none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? There ain't no photographs of Earth. Somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons. They're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a globe. No, none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball?
And there you go.
How awesome is that?
Do you have anything else to add? What about the pictures than what was said in the lyrics of that song, ODD?
Nope. He covered them. There's no pictures of the Earth.
Yeah, that's it. Case closed. Moving on.
All right, number 6. Why are the other planets round?
Oh, I hear this all the time.
ODD, why don't you start? Give us. What do you say when people ask that?
I would love to. The thing is we've been deceived into thinking that we live on a planet, because what you see in the sky, you can consider them planets. But the whole deception is they've taken the Earth underneath our feet and said, this is also a planet. But what a planet actually is a wandering star. And you could look that up in the etymology of planet. On etymology.com, you type in planet, it'll say the ancients considered the 7 planets, yada, yada, yada. And the thing is even the sun and moon are considered planets to the ancients. So it's pretty much anything you see in the sky that was a luminary that was going against the grain of the stars. The stars are all, they're how do you say?
Well, fixed.
Uniform. They're all fixed in uniform. They do the same thing. They go in the same direction. You look at other planets, they're doing their own thing. They all do their own thing compared to the stars. So yeah, that's the deception. They've taken the word planet, added it to, we're on a plane, so they added a T to it. We're living on a planet now, but we actually live on a plane. And the other things you do see are planets, but planets are actually, by definition, wandering stars.
My favorite line is, the only thing that we know about planets is what Disney and NASA has told us. And I'm not sure which one is more credible.
That's true.
Yep.
It's really hard. It's really hard for new people to this awakening to drop all of the indoctrination of what planets are. Every movie, you see the spinning globe, and we have so many things, ideas about planets and aliens and planets circling suns, and they're discovering new planets all the time, and it's hard to what's the word I'm looking for? To fathom that authorities, if that's what you want to call them, are lying to us on such a grand scale.
Yep. It's hard to even entertain the idea for a lot of people because, again, I think I said this one other time, but it's like me telling you that your mom's not your mom. I mean, it's the one thing that's been around in your life that's been constant since you were a baby. The Earth is round, the planets are round, space is infinite. All that stuff was taught to us at such a young age, and it's really tough for a lot of people to even entertain the idea of anything else.
Yeah. Lifetime indoctrination.
Number 7. What about satellites and GPS? Somebody on one of my videos made a comment and said, your stupid flat Earth models, satellites don't even work on it. Therefore, the Earth is a ball.
Oh, you're really missing the picture here, bud.
It's just like, wow, can you please go watch ODD's 21 questions and then come back to me?
Yeah, it's interesting. They admit, Google admits that they drive around little cars on the street with their camera on top, and that's how they get a lot of the stuff for Google Earth when you zoom in. And as far as having images from high altitude, of course, that could be high altitude planes and drones and even balloons. But what's really telling is I found this story from 2010 where they talk about this airplane drone called Argus. Have you guys heard of Argus?
I have. Tell me more.
Argus is like this. It's got the most high definition. It's like something like 8,000 pixels by something like that. It's up there. It's past 4K, and 4K is what we're getting now is the highest definition for YouTube videos and movies and stuff like that, Blu-rays. But this camera on this Argus, I was blown away because I just learned about this. And Argus, Argus, you guys could look it up out there. It has a camera that's just absolutely mind-blowingly insane when it comes to taking high definition images. So just something like that could have put together everything in Google Earth. And, Google admits that they use drones as well. So it's just absolutely hilarious that people think satellites are, the only answer when we're being told about these cars and these drones.
We talk about how things disappear through atmosphere. So if a satellite was taking all of these pictures where we can, zoom in and see, cars parked in our driveway, everything would be washed out. It wouldn't be these brilliant colored, high definition pictures, no matter how many pixels, because no matter how high res the camera was, because you have all that atmosphere between you. I believe that, these Google Earth pictures are taken from lower than regular planes fly, regular cruising altitude.
Yes, I believe that as well.
I think you're right, because if you look at a commercial airliner from the ground, when you look up at it, even on a clear day, before it disappears, like before it gets high enough to disappear, what so many people will find when you film it with your P900, when you zoom in, it starts to look transparent. It starts to fade out. That's because of all of that, haze in the atmosphere. And the same thing would happen from high above looking down. The features of the Earth would not look as clear as day as they present to us if they were seriously taking that from space.
And one way you can prove this is all of the balloon footage that goes up when it gives you a good clear shot down. There's a lot of stuff in the way, a lot of clouds and just atmosphere just washing everything out. You don't see these brilliant colors. That's why when I see these, paintings of the globe from outer space, the colors just make me laugh. They're brilliant. They're brilliant, like brilliant, like acrylic paint colors.
That's probably because they are.
And just like that song we just listened to about the pictures of the Earth, that guy can make a song about satellites. Like if you try to find a real authentic picture of a satellite, they're all cartoons.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Number 8, is outer space even real? Another tough one for people to wrap their minds around, but ODD, lay it on.
Sure. I always like to say that, of course, what you're looking at in the sky is real. It's there, obviously. We're not saying it's a projection or that it's not there. But the fact is there's no such thing as deep space travel. And what we're looking at, the night skies, the heavens, it's not what we're told. It's not space like you could go up there and head off to a different planet. But so in that sense, space is not real. But in the sense that what you're seeing with your own eyes, that is real, if that makes any sense.
There's the secret space program fans, they talk about there's this, what's the name of the secret space plane that flies out there for like 2 years at a time and comes back, the RB-8, or I forget when I was
something like that.
Yeah. The question is, if it's in the vacuum of space, think about the end thrusters worked in space, which there's nothing to push off of. What would stabilize it? An airplane has to be going a certain amount of speed for it to be able to turn. Otherwise, it just falls out of the sky. But you have to have something to push off of. So if that thruster was a millimeter off center, or the weight in the spaceship wasn't perfectly balanced, it would just go into a forever spin.
Yeah, I always tell people it's kind of like the edge question. I mean, the what's under the Earth. I tell people I don't know. I just know that the space that we've been taught, the space that we learned about in schools and that's put forward to us in all of these great science fiction movies, that's not real. That's not how it is. And I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know how far the stars are, but I don't think they're trillions of miles away. I think they're much closer.
Like 2 miles? 3?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more than that. But
what's amazing, though, you put up a balloon at night and all the stars disappear.
Yeah.
And the higher it goes, the less stars you see. And you can see that in an airplane. When I flew to Hawaii in the middle of the night, I was looking out the plane. I was excited to really see the Milky Way. And I saw like 2 stars. I just couldn't understand it. And I just stopped thinking about it.
And we know that the air gets thinner as you go up. So technically, without all of the atmospheric blocking, without all the haze, shouldn't we see more? They should be clearer.
Just like when you go up on a mountain away from the lights, you see a lot of stars, but after a certain altitude, they start disappearing, which is fascinating to me.
Yes, very, very strange. It's almost like we have a filter in at some point. So when you're below that filter, you can see the stars, but once you get above it, you can't see them anymore.
So with my time lapses of the sun, and I'm going to throw the stars into the same category, the more I look at it, the more I believe that it's not there, that it is, and I don't have the right words for it, but I'm seeing it render to my position, and it rises and sets very close to where I am, and wherever somebody else is, it rises and sets to them. My last sunset video I put up, P-Brain, who's done an amazing work on perspective and the sun, how the sun rises and sets. He just laid a comment saying that he is leaning towards the same feeling and he's looking into it. I'm hoping to get him on the podcast next.
Oh, that's excellent. Let me just say that P-Brain was one of the really, really greatest helps that I had when it came to the sun, because that was my biggest struggle, for real.
Yeah, I've watched all of his stuff. He's got some really good things on the sun and how it works. And I, the last person I spoke to about Flat Earth, where I kind of introduced it to him and started talking it over with him, was earlier today, in fact. And that was something that I said was that, I don't have all the answers. I just know that we've been lied to. I know it's not correct. And I think that's where my journey is now. It's trying to figure out what these things are. I don't know that we've figured out exactly what the sun is, but I'm enjoying the ride, trying to get there, and it's kind of my mission now is to figure it all out.
Absolutely, we may never know.
I don't know if we have the ability to fully understand what the sun is. I look at it as the source of everything: information, life, energy. It all comes from the sun.
I think it's conscious for sure.
I'm with you 100%.
Tell me more about that. Right. Wait, I want to hear more about that. Why would you say it's conscious?
Well, I just think it's aware. It's self-aware. It knows what's going on, and it's hard to explain, and it sounds absolutely insane, right? But
I'm with you. I just wanted to hear more. I'm not disagreeing with you at all, ODD.
Sure, it's just one of those things that it's a feeling I have, and it's I don't have anything to back it up, but I feel like it's a conscious being somehow.
So late this summer, I got some sunflower seeds and I stuck them in the dirt. Okay, the dirt of this plain that we live on, and the sun was beating down on them. And within a couple of weeks, I have 12-foot high plants that are 12 feet high that came out of the dirt. All the dirt is still there. These flowers are amazing looking. Mm-hmm. Where did they come from? Where did that come from? Where did all of that come from? I tell the story about my cucumbers. I get a couple bushels of cucumbers out of this little circle of dirt. And then when I pull the plants out at the end of the year, all the dirt is there. What did I eat? Where did it come from?
I know.
All the dirt is there. Is it just photons? Is it information? We are light beings. And when we eat plants that have stored, I believe plants are just stored, for lack of a better word, photons. And so we're eating the life that is being delivered to us from the sun.
Right.
I don't know if that makes
that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
All right, moving on. Let's move on. How is circumnavigation possible on a flat Earth? One of my favorites. ODD, why don't you jump in there?
Yeah, so, circumnavigation almost, people think by definition it means you're going around, like a ball, for instance. They don't understand that you can be going around a flat surface. So it's pretty easy to, just to let people know that you can go around on the flat plane just as easy as you could on a ball. But they think that circumnavigation, it has to be on a ball. It doesn't make sense anywhere outside of the ball. But circumnavigation, by definition, just means you're going around. Like you start somewhere, and then you go around, and you could very well go in a circle on a flat plane and still circumnavigate. So that one's fairly simple and to the point.
There's a great video called Circumnavigation for Dummies by DITRH, which shows
That's an awesome video.
Yeah, thanks. So we're let's just talk on the ball Earth. On the ball Earth, we're told that the North Pole is magnetic and compasses point toward the North Pole. So I have a problem with that. Compass has to be perfectly level. So how does that work on a ball? But the ballers will say, well, the magnetic field wraps around the ball. But even on a ball, let's say you're in New York and you want to go around the world. You want to go west all the way around the world. If you think about it, you have to constantly correct your course to the north to maintain a heading of 90 degrees or 270, which is east and west. Otherwise, you're going to make a full 24,000-mile loop around the ball Earth, if that's a thing. So people don't realize that even on a ball, you have to correct your course to the north to maintain your heading. And the way I describe that is, imagine you are 100 feet from the North Pole and you want to head west, right? West is a 200-foot diameter circle around the North Pole. Because if you keep going straight, you're going to be heading south, even on a ball.
Yes.
And it works. So, Mark Sargent had these ship's captains on his show talking about, how when they're dead reckoning 90 degrees or 270, they constantly have to correct to the north to maintain that heading. And they thought, well, it's currents, the boat pulls one way or the other. That would be true on a flat Earth and a ball Earth. Where the separation comes is when you're south of the equator. On a ball Earth, you would have to correct to the south. On a flat Earth, you'd still have to correct to the north. It would be a slower correction because you'd have to travel farther before you make that correction. But that would be, very strong proof if you can prove that you have to make that correction in the southern hemispheres. I don't know where these ships' captains were operating. I could guess that some of them were below the equator, but I do not know that for sure.
I love that video too, how you were you were going around and you kept pointing it at the north.
Well, the compass wants to stay to the north. So, just anybody could get a compass, put it on a table, put it near, put a magnet on a table, put the compass near it so the needle's pointing towards the magnet, and then try to move the compass east or west. And, with that, maintaining that heading. And you'll see that east and west on a ball Earth, on a flat Earth, is a circle.
It's always going to be a circle.
It's a circle. South is a straight line. If you go any direction on a ball Earth or flat Earth in a straight line, you will end up heading south.
Yes, indeed. Are there even south-pointing compasses? I don't believe so. You would think there would be.
So, yeah, I heard that recently that they actually do point south, but they're labeled north. Is that right? Anybody heard of that? No?
I've read that inside of the wiki.
Yeah.
They actually touch on that.
Yeah, that one kind of lost me. I was hoping you guys could explain that one to me.
Sure, it's just a bit strange to me that, I don't know, I would figure that you could buy either or, a south-pointing compass or a north-pointing compass, but they only have north. But yeah, what you were just saying is something that, it's something that we need to figure out more, but I have heard people talk about it, but either way, if it's pointing south or it's using the south as a reference to point north, right? Then it doesn't really matter, I suppose. But
no,
on a flat plane, I guess it's just not possible to have a south pole. Therefore, it makes more sense that the north is the only magnetic.
Circumnavigation easy on a flat Earth.
Has been paid for by
the Flat Earth Podcast.
The Flat Earth Conference 2017 takes place this November from Raleigh, North Carolina. Tickets are sold out right now, but visit their website and get on the waiting list.
Or just head down. There's lots of people heading down to an adjacent hotel where they'll be live streaming in an auditorium and lots of outside stuff happening. A big Flat Earth hangout.
And if you want to contribute to the massive Flat Earth billboard that's going up down in Raleigh, North Carolina, head over to the website, flatearthpodcast.com, click on the link that sends you over to the billboard campaign.
The billboard is 14 feet tall by 48 feet wide. It'll be the biggest Flat Earth billboard to date. It'll be running for a month before the conference and ending the Sunday after the conference.
Head over to fe2017.com now.
The Flat Earth Podcast.
And if you are coming down to the Flat Earth Conference in November, on Wednesday, the day before, we're going to be kicking off the conference with a gathering at the Flat Earth Billboard, which is just 2.5 miles from the conference center. We're going to have hundreds of people there. We're going to have a drone up filming us. We're going to be live streaming it to all of the different media across the plane, and we'll be interviewing people during it that'll be going out over the live stream. Be part of that. You don't even have to have a ticket to the show. Just join us and listen for more information here on the Flat Earth Podcast.
The Flat Earth Podcast.